Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I have always been confused about how to start these things because I can't say good morning because it may not be morning to you, and I can't say good afternoon because I don't know when you're watching this. So today we're talking about chapters 28 through 30, Division 4 continued, media effects, media and culture. I've told you a couple of times how I enjoy culture, and it's my favorite topic. So, how does the media and culture work together or work against one another? How does media um, reinforce cultural norms or help create cultural norms? And how does it debunk them? How effective is media in creating, persuading, and spreading the narrative? The cultural narrative is this. How effective does media do that? And since we are such a broad, diverse nation and continent and world, um, there's so many differences. So as you read these theories, think about how media has changed since we started studying it, and how these theories can be used in a society with so many outlets, or can they? And realizing that when they started studying this, they had 3 television stations. And yes, I remember that. I'm old, okay? So it was much easier to say that, this TV station had the most viewership and they had the most persuasion over the general population. But now we have, I don't know how many different news outlets and organizations there are out there. And you can be so selective that you nestle yourself in one because it makes you feel good about yourself and never listen to the other ones. I personally watch Fox, CNN, MSNBC, and ABC. Why? Because I want to know the spectrum. I don't want to just hear one pundit's perspective of this is how the world is. I want to know more about it. I want to know I don't know your preferences, but if you are a conservative, then I want to know what conservatives think about. If you're liberal, I want to know what liberals think about. I call myself a conservative or a liberative. I'm in the middle, and I want to know both sides of the story before I pick a direction to go in. So, can these theories be used with the various outlets that we have? Chapter 28, Uses and Gratification. We use media for the gratification we get from it. Then there's no other reason to use it. I mean, honestly, why should I sit there and watch a TV show if I'm not going to get something out of it? Now, I've been married 40 years, and up until recently, now I've got, I think, 6 TVs in my house. So I can go one room and watch what I want. My wife can watch what she wants. And we have multiple computers and phones, and so we have, different, we can get in our own little world. But for a long time, we had one TV. And I watched some stuff that I didn't really care to watch, but my wife wanted to. And vice versa. She watched things that she didn't want to watch, but I wanted to. So we actually use media for the gratification we get from it. So assumption 1 is people use media for their own purpose. Uniform ethics model said that there's a magic bullet in mass communication. We can make this one statement and put it out there in mass communication or media, and it will affect everybody. No, it doesn't. They haven't found the magic bullet yet. Assumption number 2, people seek to gratify needs. And straight line effect of media is a specific effect on behavior with little consideration for the differences in consumers. We all watch TV for whatever needs we have, or Netflix, or YouTube, or whatever you're watching. But my grandson calls them ads, so I guess you guys call them ads too. I call them commercials. But there is one commercial put on by the SPCA that, I mean, there's a bunch of them, but SPCA commercials are on basically all those forms of media. If there is a commercial or an advertisement slot, then it's going to buy one. And it shows the poor little puppies in the freezing snow and they're shivering, and it wants you to send them money. So, we're watching this for gratifying our own needs, but they always have these little insertions of something. That's when we get up and go to the bathroom, go get a cup of coffee, a beer, tea, whatever, or look at our phone, as opposed to watching the commercial. But it's there trying to persuade us. Assumption number 3 is media compete for our attention and time. And even when there was only 3 stations, they were competing for our attention and time. They wanted to be the one everybody listened to, everybody watched. And if you understand the need, you can clarify the choices people make. I chose this weekend to watch Astros play baseball. I don't watch the Braves play baseball. I don't watch football. I've just never been into it. But I like watching the Astros play baseball. And the question is, why did I make that choice? I don't watch the Braves. Well, I grew up in Houston. So it kind of brings me back to a carefree life, pre-marriage, pre-army, pre-college, pre-kids. I can escape into my childhood, so to speak, by watching Astros play baseball, because that's what I did when I was a kid. So my need to escape, my need to relax, and trust me, the game last night or the night before last wasn't very relaxing because they lost, but that's why I chose it. So if you understand what the need is, then you can clarify what the choices are. Assumption number 4, media affects different people differently. My wife likes CSI type shows and forensic files, and I think she's just trying to figure out how to kill me and get away with it. But I don't care for those. They just never trip my trigger. So when an Astros game comes on, I'm excited. I'm going to sit down and watch the game. And my wife said I'll be in my office because I'm not interested. But on the other hand, when CSI comes on or NCIS or forensic files of cops, she's like, oh, I'm watching TV. Because that's what she enjoys. So the same media can affect us differently. People choose different genres for their own reason. Like I said, my baseball is my escape into my childhood, a carefree time. My wife's forensic files is probably, maybe because she wants to kill me. I don't know. So what her reason is, but that's what she likes. Assumption 5. People can accurately report their media use and motivation. The book went through 2 or 3 paragraphs to finally come to the conclusion that sometimes assumptions are wrong. Do you get that notification on your phone that says you used so many hours of screen time last week? It's up or it's down. I get it, and it's like, I didn't know I spent that much time on there. So I don't really think that this is as true as they would like it to believe that people can accurately report their media use and motivation. I didn't really realize why I liked watching Astros baseball until I went back to Houston for a week. And I realized it was, it's my way of going home mentally. So, can people accurately report it? Some people can, some can't. Some people know what they're, pay attention to that. And they're tuned into that. And other people just mindlessly do it. I was on the front porch on my phone, and my wife came out talking to me, and I just kept playing on the phone. And then when she went in, I realized that was kind of rude. So now I put the phone down when somebody comes up and talks to me. I don't keep it in my hand because I didn't realize that I was being distant. So sometimes assumptions are wrong. Typology. what is typology? It's a classification scheme attempting to create manageable categories. So when they started this uses and gratification research, they realized that they had to create some overall categories for people to put in this little niche where they're at. And I think some of these are overlapping. The first one they list is passing time. You know, like if you're in a doctor's waiting room or you're in a lobby waiting for somebody, you're just killing time. You're in a restaurant, you're waiting for your food to get there, and they got a TV up there. You're just passing time. Companionship. Watching sports is an example they used. You know, you get together with your friends to watch your favorite team play. So it's why are you using the media? I'm using the media so I can bond with my friends. Escape. I'll run to this one. There's oftentimes a lot better things on TV or on your phone or computer than listening to me. So it's sometimes it's kind of hard to click that on there because I want to escape. I want to escape studying. I don't want to study right now. Social interaction. I skipped one. Let me get to enjoyment first. Enjoyment, just for the pleasure of doing it. And that's when I was talking about overlapping. You know, sometimes enjoyment might be the same thing or be in line with companionship. I enjoy watching so-and-so play football, and so do my buddies, and we get together. So are you there for enjoyment, or are you there for companionship? Social interaction. Talking points. When I mentioned earlier when there was only 3 TV stations, Walter Cronkite was the most prominent news anchor there was. And what I personally liked about him is you never knew where he was leaning. He wasn't conservative, he wasn't liberal, he just gave the news. And everybody got the same news. And then the next day when you went to work, you talk about what Walter Cronkite said on the news. So social interaction, talking points, maybe Game of Thrones. Everybody was into Game of Thrones or talking about it. So a TV show that people are into, it gives you talking points for social interaction. Relaxation. Well, I just kind of want to kick back and relax, and you know, is that enjoyment? Maybe, maybe not. You know, I just need to unplug. There's a couple of days where I had no internet at my house, and it was frustrating at first, but then it was kind of nice. It's like, yeah, this isn't too bad. But you know, are we doing it for the enjoyment? I mean, or the relaxation? Information. Well, I want to know what's happening in the world. This last weekend, Israel got bombed by Hamas. I'm interested in international events like that, especially war, bombing, and killing, I guess, because I did 20 years in the Army, and my dad was in the Army for 30 years. But my wife, who was also in the Army, she doesn't really, keep up. I had to explain to her what's going on. So, I was watching the news for information. My problem with media is it's like that's when they have a major event like that, that's the only news that they talk about. And then they don't really talk about the news, but what they think happened or what they think it might be or what they think it might change. There's a whole lot of other things happened in the world this weekend, but every station that I could turn on, all I saw was Hamas and Israel. Okay. I know that the world didn't stop except for that, but the media highlighted it. Now they may have had a 30-second or a minute here and there of other news, but they kept going over it and over it, and the first 20 minutes basically I got it. All right, this is what's going on. Excitement. So, watching Houston play and they won was exciting for me. I liked it. Excitement could also be, like the thrilling My Bloody Valentine or some other Friday the 13th and like a roller coaster ride where you get thrilled and excited and that type of stuff. So it could be that. And so those are the major topics that when they ask somebody why they're watching TV and they talk to them or they get them to fill out a survey, they want them to pick one of those. And like I said, some of them could overlap, like excitement and camaraderie. If you and your 5 friends are great football fanatics and you both all love the same team and you're in there and you're watching it can be companionship or it could be excitement, the excitement of the game. So which one of the typologies does that moment in time reflect for your survey? Parasocial relationships. That's when you identify with the character. The book talks about Marcus Welby, which is when I was a kid, so it's probably before y'all's time as well. But he actually was an actor that played a doctor. And he got letters from people that wanted him to diagnose their illness, He's not a doctor, but he played one on TV. People that play prominent lawyers on television or something like that, a lot of times people connect with them and they want law advice from them. They're not really a lawyer or a private detective. They want them to help them, but they really can't. So parasocial relationships is when the consumer identifies with a character in a way where they almost think that there's a friendship there or business association or something like that. So what is going on beyond TV in the new media? We have virtual social communities. I am on a few of them, and I have friends all over the world, and I stay in touch with some of those friends on my Facebook. I do not have a friend on Facebook that I have not physically met. I don't, for a long time I noticed people were like trying to get thousands of friends. And when I became friends with them, they'd want to friend all my friends. And it's like, no, I'm not into that. It's a social community and I know these people. Now LinkedIn, I'm friends with 5 times more people on LinkedIn than I am on Facebook. Because that's a business networking thing. And I find people that have skills that I want to improve in myself or that I can go to when I need some assistance in questioning. So we build virtual social communities. In the past, your community was the little town that you lived in. And the people in that town were your network. And now we've gone beyond that. So chapter 29, cultivation theory. Sounds like that we're, having a garden or something, but we're not. We're cultivating something. And it starts out talking about Gertner, and this chapter kind of ends with the same thing. It's a mean world. If you watch nothing but court TV, CSI, forensic files, cops, you'll think that it's all evil out there. If you walk out the door, you're going to get hurt. So is the media skewing your perception of the real world? Is it making you believe that it's worse than it is? The TV show MASH ran for years. It was about a medical unit in the Korean War. And you saw the characters evolve and develop into caring people, into stupid people, into happy people, into drunk people. But a lot of people, and I went to the Army medical field, and a lot of people thought that was the Army medical field. And it wasn't as laid back and crazy as MASH. But of course, I was not in a medical unit in a war zone either. So that may have been more true in that area, but I mean, that's not. But when you talk to people that have seen many series or episodes of MASH, and you say that you were in a medical unit, it's like, oh, well, it's like so and so. So, and the media cultivates these thoughts, it images in your head. I went to Louisiana to do my master's program, and I was talking to a native there, and she said what she hates is that Louisiana is depicted in the media as swamp, and everybody barefoot, and lives on a houseboat, and eats crawfish, and it's like they don't realize that we have cities here with light bulbs, and a student from in our master's program from Africa said, yeah, it's the same way about Africa. And media portrays it as this backwoods place, and it's like they believe the first time I saw a light bulb was when I came to the United States. So cultivation theory says that media creates this idea in your head of what the world's like. The first prong is the institutional process analysis. So if you're looking at cultivation theory, the first prong they want you to look at is the institutional process analysis. What does that mean? Behind the scene research, looking for what is the hidden agenda. What is going on in the background that the hidden agenda, have you ever seen the TV show or the movie The Wizard of Oz? Ignore the man behind the curtain. So what's going on back there? What's their hidden agenda? The second prong, message system analysis. Basically, it's analyzing the content of the message. What is the message actually saying? Not the show of it, not the fake front, but what's the actual message saying? Dramatic violence. There's a lot of times these shows use dramatic violence. And that's violence strictly for the dramatic effect. And that's one thing that Gerbner kept looking at, was that the violence that we use skews people into believing that it's a lot meaner world out there than what they thought. So did they need to put this violent act in here because it meant something to the story, or did they need to put it in there because it added drama? And they even considered the coyote and Roadrunner, as violence, because the coyote would try to catch the Roadrunner and then drop an anvil on his own head or fall off a cliff, something like that. So those were violence things that they were looking at. And was it part of the story, or was it part of the facade? Equal violence, unequal risk. In these media outlets or media programs, or what do you want to call them, generally marginalized groups are less represented. There's less people of color, there's less women, and there's less people that are disabled. But those people that make up the marginalized groups are the ones that generally get more violent acts. So if you did it on a per capita type situation, white Christian male and maybe 5 acts of violence against him or that group, and then there are 10 white Christian males in it, and then there's 2 black males and 2 females, 1 black, 1 white. So the group of 10 gets 5 acts of violence. The group of 6 gets 10 acts of violence. So they've noticed that through their research that the marginalized groups are less represented, but they get more violence. The third prompt, cultivation analysis. Research designed to find out if consumers of television see the world through a TV lens. So to analyze what they've been saying they think is happening, the cultivation analysis is we're going to do research to find out if the media has actually skewed their perception of reality the way we think it has, or the way they wanted it to. Accessibility principle is that judgment is made by the most accessible information. So if you have been told all your life that red means danger, red means danger, red means danger, and then you see something red, your immediate thing, the most accessible thought in your mind is that red's danger. So we're going to stay away from that. And their point is that whatever they put on the top shelf or most recent memory is what you are going to go to. You're not going to dig through your memory. You watched a TV show on college students getting raped on campus. And as soon as you walk out the door, it's kind of dark outside, you're walking alone, and then all of a sudden everybody's following you. This guy's looking at you kind of funny. Because the judgment you're making is from the most recent, most accessible information, which is usually the most recent. Mainstreaming. Mainstreaming is a common outlook created by a skewed standpoint of differing groups. So we are a very diverse nation. And after 9/11, everybody was saying that Muslims are bad. Not everybody, but a lot of people were. And so, you had Christian, Catholic, Jewish, atheist, agnostic, rich, poor, middle class, blue collar, white collar. The mainstreaming, it put all these other in that cat, and everybody was agreeing to that perception. Not everybody, but a lot of people were. So different groups had a collective skewed standpoint. Cultivation differences. Perception difference based on light, heavy TV consumption. According to Gerbner's in his studying, if you were a heavy TV consumer compared to a light TV consumer, that would be the cultivation difference. You believe more heavily in this than they do. Like I said, I watch CNN and MSNBC and Fox, and I want to know what's going on. I want to know different perceptions. I have some friends that watch nothing but Fox, and they watch it religiously. They watch it heavily. So there's a cultivation difference between the two of us because I don't believe everything Fox says. I believe some of it. I don't believe everything CNN says. I have some very liberal friends that only watch MSNBC, and they watch it just as dedicated and as deep into it as some of my Fox viewer friends are. So I watch both, but I watch a little of this and a little of that and a little of the other. So the cultivation difference would be how much their opinion has been cultivated in this left or right perception compared to mine, which is little because I don't watch them that much. And meta-analysis, the study of studies. Meta-analysis is, they do a study, say, how much TV do you watch? And how much violence do you think is in the real world? And then they compare those two and see if the TV watching is causing you to believe there's more violence or if they're connected. That's what meta-analysis is. Mean world syndrome, a critical mindset created through heavy TV consumption. You watch a lot of TV and you get this thought in your mind that is a bad world out there. I mentioned, I think, in last week's video, South Columbus. Oh, don't go to South Columbus. It's bad, South Columbus. There's, not much more crime in South Columbus than there is in Green Island Hills. But the local television station says this guy got shot in Columbus, in South Columbus. This guy got stabbed in South Columbus. This guy got robbed in South Columbus. And Green Island Hills, they planted trees. So it's the mean world syndrome is making it look like that's a dangerous place because that's all you see is the bad stuff. Chapter 30. Agenda setting theory. Personal agenda. A personal agenda is positions that are most salient to me as an individual. The ones that I care about. The ones that I worry about. What is my personal agenda? I want to be able to pay my bills. I want to be able to buy me some good scotch. I want to have a good cigar every now and then. That's my agenda. Your agenda may be different. You might want to get a better job and a better house, and you might want to be starting a family. What is the positions most salient to me or the person individual? Media agenda is issues highlighted by the media. So these are the things I think are important, and these are the things the media thinks are important. And so media is going to have its own agenda, and if it's the conservative TV or media you're watching, their agenda is to get more conservatives elected into office. And if it's liberal, then your agenda is to get more liberals elected into office. Personally, I've never voted a party ticket. I don't know if I told you that before or not, but I think I have. I want the best person for the job. So my personal agenda may be, I want the best person for the job. And the media's agenda may be, I want this guy because he's liberal, or I want this girl because she's conservative. So the difference in the personal and media agenda. Agenda setting is the public agenda shaped by the media. So if you are a consumer of conservative media, the election was stolen. If you are a consumer of liberal media, we had a fair and safe election. Level 1. The media tells us what to think about. The media tells us this is what's important. Yeah, he's a 9 times felon. He was a great president. Depends on the channel you're watching. The first level of agenda setting is the media influences what is important. Well, is it important that he's probably a criminal and he's been indicted on all these things? Or is it important that he made America great again? Whether he did or not, that's your opinion, and whatever you want to believe. Which one the media is pushing? The media is telling you that first level is this is what's important. It's important that we don't elect him because he's indicted. The other one says, no, it's important that we elect him because he's a great man. Level 2. The media tells us which attributes of the issue are important. Okay? It's important that he lied and he broke all these laws, or it's important that I could afford gas when he was in office. The second level agenda setting is the media frames topics they want you to see them. They will have a picture of Trump when he looks disheveled and old and tired, or they'll have a picture of him strong and bold, and broad chest and taking on the world. However they want you to see it is how they are going to frame it. Level 3, the media tells us which issues go together. So we had better economics, and we had less unemployment, and we had this when he was in office. And the other media says no, unemployment is lower now than it was. Yes, economics is not good, but it's not as bad as it was. It was a worldwide situation. So they're picking and telling us what goes together. Okay. How and where do we get news from? What is our sources? What tells us this is good and this is bad? Other respected news organizations. I mean, if you ever thought about it, how do they decide what's going on here? How do they decide what's going to make up their media? They are watching news somewhere. When Hamas attacks Israel, that's pretty obvious. It's going on. Or when Russia attacked Ukraine. But the other stuff is like, okay, what's happening in the news? Well, Wall Street Journal reported this, or CNN reported that, or Fox reported this. So they are, quote, respected news organizations, and they're saying this is news. So we might pick that up and talk about it. A lot of the YouTube videos that you see are stuff that other news agencies are talking about. And then some of them say, we talk about the news they don't want to talk about, which may be, I don't know. I don't get that involved into it. So emerging media. We might get news from emerging media. So this obscure YouTube channel may have a story about Snoopy that nobody knew about. And it's an emerging media, so he brings it out there and she talks about it. And then other news organizations say, hey, that is a story. Let's look at that. So partisan media. What do the Republicans say? What do the Democrats say? What, as the Republican National Convention and the Democratic National Convention, where do we get from them? Because they could be candidates and office holders. The president's got a big bullhorn. He can stand up there and say a whole bunch of stuff. Other office holders, the Speaker of the House, which is vacant right now, they may put something out there that causes concern or question. Press releases. Organizations always have press releases because they want you as a media person to get this word out to all your people so you can know about this event. Interest aggregation. Clusters of people demanding to be center stage. Sounds to me like politicians. But it could be anybody protesting whatever. They're on the street corner. They're protesting. They want this brought forward. They want people to know that this police department is corrupt, or this organization, this business is stealing my money. Gatekeepers. The editors in news organizations. They're the ones and people in control of media content. They are the ones that decide what goes forward and what doesn't. What are we going to make news, and what are we going to put on the side? Because honestly, even in a 24/7 world of news, some stuff's not going to make it. Unfortunately, a lot of times they just keep repeating what they said earlier. Fake news. Intentionally false news that an organization puts out to support their position, their point. Need for orientation. Why do we watch media? I watch it as a need for orientation. I want to understand what's happening. That's why I watch diverse and different news organizations. I want to know where I stand. I don't want to be on a bandwagon one way or the other and not know where I stand. Vertical media is news. It's for a broad and diverse audience. This news we're going to give it is for everybody. Horizontal media is targeted to specific audiences. I get some stuff from the National Federation of the Blind all the time, and it's targeted for the blind community. I get stuff from different veterans organizations. It's targeted to the veteran community. So that's horizontal media. Agenda meddling. Or melding, I'm sorry. Agenda melding. Melding sources to fit our experiences and preferences. So I watched both sides and I kind of meld it together and get my perception of the world from the two variables. There's people that will watch only conservative media, or people who watch only liberal media. And those people, when they meld it, they find all these sources that fit their opinion, and they meld them all together and say, okay, this is gospel. This is the way it is. Regardless of what you guys think, this is the way it is. So they find sources that have their own opinion. They support and reinforce their opinion by looking at sources that have the same opinion they do. And then they meld it together into this is, I've always been right because, see, all these people agree with me. So that's what agenda melding is. So that's chapters 28 through 30. I hope it's not too bad. I know last week I had a cold, and I apologize for that, but I don't think I sniffled and coughed as much this time. Hope I didn't. Have yourself a great week, and I believe next week we're only going 2 chapters, so it'll be a little break for us all. Have a good week. If you need me, email me, and I will talk to you, or I should say talk at you, next week. Bye.